Hello, you just reached MRN Crew Call, presented by Hercules Tires. Your patience while holding is appreciated. Our representatives are working hard to get you closer to the guys on top of the pit boxes, over the wall, and on your radio dial. Thank you for holding. You are now being connected to your hosts, Tony Rizzuti and Kid Cruz.
Welcome to MRN Crew Call, presented by Hercules Tires. I'm Tony Rizzuti, and as always, I'm joined by a man who doesn't always drink beer. But when he does, who are we kidding? He always drinks beer.
I was going to stop
Cruz.
you. I'm like, dude, that's like part of my diet. Yeah. Except the morning. Diet Coke in the morning.
Yeah.
Then afternoon, in this case after 12:30 probably, then you shift to beer.
Typically things brewed in Milwaukee
Yep.
are your favorites. As always, you can join our conversation. Reach out to us on Twitter at MRN Radio. There you go, right there. That's our handle. Use the hashtag AskMRN. Just makes it easier to find our stuff. We also have the fan forum hotline, 1-844-4ASK-MRN.
You got it. Leave us a message.
We'd love to hear them.
Yeah, leave us a message.
Passionate fans, would you say? Is that safe?
Yes.
Is that safe? Passionate fans?
Yeah.
Fun show for you today. Our first crew call is going to be to one of our own, Steve Post. Going to talk a little NASCAR, but really what we're going to talk about is one person in particular, and that is Mr. Kyle Larson. I don't know that there is a hotter driver right now, kid.
No.
In the universe than Kyle Larson. He has been on a roll. Steve Post has been all over the stories. So we're going to find out what are we seeing here. I feel like we're seeing something really special here. So we'll find out. We'll talk to him about this Larson kid. And then we're going to chat with our own Joe Moore. Find out how the fishing is in the Keys.
I was going to say, he's not on a boat?
Yeah, it probably is. Maybe we can get a live play-by-play of a Wahoo or something.
I don't think we've ever taken a call from a boat before. This will be fun.
And then we will have our venerable game show.
5 on, 5
off.
off.
Today's category, Stop Whining. Stop whining. Heading out to Sonoma. I don't know. That might be a clue. Hey, kid, it's time to check out this week's crew cut. Who were you? I heard you had to wait. I kind of know, so I don't want to act like I don't know. I'd be faking it, right? Let's keep it real. This week you had a chance to talk to a young up-and-comer.
Yeah,
right?
one of the upcoming stars in country music. His name is Brett Young. You may know, Tony, he's already had a #1 single earlier this year called "In Case You Didn't Know."
No.
Don't know? Okay. Do you know pop star Gavin DeGraw?
I do.
All right, we'll tie it all together. So
All
anyway,
right,
Brett
great.
Young is from California, so it's a good time to talk to him. A hot baseball prospect in college. College World Series time.
Yes, it
He
is.
could have made it. He should have been a big star. He was playing ball at Fresno State on a full scholarship
Right.
and injured his arm. And then he's like, well, now what am I going to do? I don't want a desk job. And he was inspired to start writing country music based on listening to Gavin DeGraw's album. So we'll pick up his life story here. He's going to talk about that a little bit.
At about that time, Gavin DeGraw came out with his first record called Chariot, and I fell in love with that. And I started thinking to myself, there's got to be a hybrid between what Gavin's doing and what's on country radio right now. That was kind of the place I was in and why it became music for me.
Have you met Gavin? Have you been able to share that story with him?
You know what? I was so fortunate just in that first year of having found his music that about 2 weeks before I went in to do my first EP, I ran into him after one of his shows in Los Angeles later that night at the Mel's Diner on Sunset, and he was walking down the street, and I stopped him to say hello, and he didn't have to stay there and talk, but I told him, hey, you're the reason I'm doing this, and I'm making an EP, and he stood there with me for 20-25 minutes giving me advice about picking the right microphone and all these things that he didn't have to stand there and do, but he was so gracious and he did. And we ran into each other a few more times and kind of became buddies, and we've kept in touch ever since, which has been such a cool kind of surreal thing for me.
Isn't that a wild story? You're
That is.
inspired by Gavin. You
Yeah.
run into him on the streets in Los Angeles and like, dude, I'm doing this because of you. Now you know a little bit more about Brett Young. And when you hear, in case you didn't know on the radio, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that guy. So anyway, we'll have more with him on NASCAR USA, by the way, this weekend. Go to MRN.com and click on the stations tab. Find a radio station that airs NASCAR USA.
I'm going old school here, but doesn't
Okay.
that kind of have an Alan Jackson feel of he's going country?
Oh, yeah.
I can't play
yeah.
baseball. What can I do? Well, this guy had an album. Well, I'll just write country music.
Whatever works.
I
Good for
like the
him, yeah.
fact that Gavin took the time, though, to sit down with him and work with him. I love to see when established artists will work with the young guys pay it
Gavin
off,
DeGraw
man.
is a heck of a nice guy. I've been able to do a few things with him over the years. Super nice guy and very talented.
Yeah, lots of fun. Hey, shout out to Jeff Wackerlin, who runs MRN.com.
Oh yeah, what's up with Wack?
Yeah, he just told me he was tuned in. He wants to know about this Larson kid. Apparently he's going to be a big deal. Steve Post has all the details on what Kyle Larson's done over the last week, including last night when he parked it again. We'll talk to the postman when we return here on MRN Crew Call.
I'm Steve Letarte, STP auto expert and former crew chief. I know what it takes to keep engines performing at their best. STP's latest breakthrough additive, STP Ultra 5-in-1 plus Fuel System Cleaner plus Fuel Stabilizer, delivers 3 times the amount of cleaning agents versus premium gasoline and helps keep fuel fresh during storage. For over 60 years, STP has been on the cutting edge developing products to help engines run better, longer.
One bottle contains 3 times by weight the amount of cleaning agents compared to 20 gallons of the leading premium gasoline.
When your AC stops blowing cold air, find relief during Murray AC Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. While you may need to eventually have your AC professionally serviced, O'Reilly Auto Parts has special offers on the items you need to bring the cool back now. Everything from AC compressors to refrigerant. Don't miss Murray AC Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
On Friday, June 30th, the Professional Fighters League makes its debut at the Daytona International Speedway. Admission to the fight is included with your ticket to the Xfinity Series race on Friday night, the Coca-Cola Firecracker 250. The battle in the cage will immediately follow the action on the track. MMA legend John Fitch takes on Brian Foster in the main event of the night. Championship Racing and Championship MMA back-to-back. Kick off your 4th of July weekend at the Daytona International Speedway with the Professional Fighters League.
I'm sorry, Mr. France isn't available right now. Let me connect you to Tony Rizzuti and Kid Cruz.
Welcome back to MRN Crew Call. If you ever wondered what we do during the commercial breaks, I was sitting here singing the O'Reilly. That's a great jingle, isn't it?
Yeah, and you were talking about MMA fighting.
Talking about MMA fighting at Daytona. That's going to be pretty cool. Probably need to go out and get a set of Hercules Tires. Love them. They present the show here today. One young man has been on a roll in both the NASCAR series and in dirt sprint cars. That young man is Kyle Larson, so that means we need to talk to our man, the postman, MRN pit reporter, and host of Wing Nation, which you hear and see here on MRN and on MAB TV. It's Steve Post. Postman, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing well, gentlemen. Hope you are well also.
Hey, we're doing great. Wanted to have you in here because what Kyle Larson's doing right now is really something special. For the fans that don't know, last week he went out and won a World of Outlaw event, then went up to Michigan and won the NASCAR Cup Series race, then headed to Ohio Speed Week, and on Monday he won, and then last night he parked it in victory lane again. What is your take on what Kyle Larson is doing right now in just racing in general? This is something special, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, it really is. It's magical what he's doing because it's the variety of race cars, the variety of racetracks, and the variety of competition. And, you know, to win no driver has ever won a World of Outlaw race and a Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race in the same week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think probably Tony Stewart's the only one that's done it in a career. So, you know, it's absolutely amazing what he has been able to do with this on the variety of tracks. And, you know, in watching some of the reaction, I look at, you know, folks that have been around the sport of sprint car racing and been around the sport of auto racing in general a lot longer than I have, or maybe have had a keener eye across it. You know, guys like Brad Doty, who is one of the top sprint car analysts, and Brad is saying, you know, I didn't see Mario Andretti, Parnelli Jones, those guys that are notorious for jumping in any kind of car racing. But in anyone else that I've seen, including he's seen A.J. Foyt and Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon, he said Kyle Larson is right on par with it. And you know, when you're talking on par with Parnelli Jones or Jeff Gordon or A.J. Foyt or Tony Stewart, we're watching something really special to see. And the reality of it is on either side, the NASCAR side or the sprint car side, there's no sign of a slowdown. It's like he's getting his stride on the NASCAR side, and he has it on wide open on the sprint car side.
Steve, what have you seen or what have you heard from those people that you've talked to in the sport that separates Larson from some of his other competitors? I mean, we've seen Donnie Schatz get on a roll with the World of Outlaws, but as you mentioned, Larson getting in different types of cars at different styles of racetrack. What do you think separates him? What's making him so dominant in whatever type of car he gets in?
I think it's his adaptability, and what I mean, I don't mean adaptability going from asphalt to pavement.
Right.
It's he seems to be able to have the ability to throw his comfort aside. So, in other words, a lot of drivers will run right to their comfort level. Kyle Larson seems to be able to run right to the fastest the speed charts say, the fastest the stopwatch says. And his comfort be damned as he races these cars. What he's doing in the sprint car, we're in an era in sprint car racing where there's a lot of changes and something has changed in the setup of the cars. Nobody can really pinpoint what it is, but there are a lot of drivers that are uncomfortable. And then there are a lot of drivers who are uncomfortable and slow, some who are uncomfortable and fast, but they're all uncomfortable. Larson doesn't mention anything about his comfort. He just mentions how fast the car is, and we see the same thing in NASCAR. He is putting the car in places where other drivers fear to go. He's the first one to go to the top. He's looking different lines, and he just literally is a guy that processes things where the feel in the seat of my pants doesn't matter. What does the stopwatch say? And that stopwatch says he's fast. And then he's pulling the trigger, doing all the right moves. Great restart. He's the only guy. He's the only one on Sunday at Michigan that restarted on the inside that won the battle on an inside restart. Everyone else started on the outside, and he started on the outside when he had a choice. But on the money restart, the next to last one from the end, he was on the inside of Kyle Busch. He's the only one that made the inside work. He just has this ability to set his comfort aside, to set what everyone else is doing aside, and just wheel a race car at high speed and put it all together and score wins. It's amazing to watch this kid race.
Hey, Postman, does the frequency of his participation in these weekday events make those around him a little nervous? You're really close to these guys. You're really close to Tony Stewart. We know he's had some bad luck over the years doing the races during the week or weeknights outside of the Cup Series. Is that in the back of his mind at all? Do people talk to him about that, or is he just young and invincible at this point?
It is in the back of his mind, and he has an agreement in place, and I don't know the specifics with Chip Ganassi. He doesn't race on race weekends. All of his racing is confined to early in the week, and I don't know what his cutoff is, whether it's Wednesday or Thursday, what his cutoff is. He doesn't race on race weekends. So, I think this is the reason the Ganassi program works really well for Kyle Larson, okay? If Chip Ganassi had his preference, he would prefer that Kyle doesn't race those things. I get that. But to have Kyle Larson wheel your Monster Energy NASCAR Sprint Cup Series car, the kid has so much talent that there's a negotiation that goes involved. So Kyle can run X number of races in certain windows of time, and he does. Chip may not like it, but it is what he has to do to keep Larson happy. And face it, the reality of it is a race-winning driver on the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series with the upside that Kyle Larson has. When you negotiate something like that, it is a negotiation and there's a back and forth, and they have created a very good relationship and very good understanding of where each of them are. And yeah, there's concern about it, but it's the cost of having Kyle Larson in your car, and I think that's really what they look at as far as the overall package goes.
Yeah, Steve, that was going to kind of be my final question regarding Larson. There's been a lot of gossip, a lot of speculation on where he may drive after 2017. As we sit here on June 21st, what's your gut tell you? Do you think he'll re-sign with Ganassi? Will Smoke get a chance to bring him over to Stewart-Haas? He's mentioned he'd love to have him. Or is the 88 in play at Hendrick? What's your gut tell you about where Larson might end up?
My gut tells me he's going to stay at Chip Ganassi Racing. First and foremost, he has this agreement and this working relationship. Hendrick is very, very anti guys running other racing series. So I think there's a problem there. But here's the reality, okay? The 42 is better than the 88. The 42 is better than the 10 or the 14 or the 4 or the 41. It's better than anything. The only car in those camps that you could say maybe is comparable right now is the 48 over at Hendrick Motorsports.
Right.
So to me, even if you look at the here and now performance on the race car, set aside the sprint cars and the agreement he has in place with Chip Ganassi, set that all aside. The reality of it is right now you would be going from one of the top two cars, the 78 and the 42 are the top two cars in the sport right now, to a team that is not performing as well. So my gut, my hunch, my feeling with the sprint car stuff a factor and with fast race cars sitting here in June of 2017 is I see Kyle Larson staying with Chip Ganassi Racing.
Real quick, Postman, before we hit the break here, belated happy birthday to you. How'd you spend your birthday?
Oh, I spent my birthday at MRN doing some programs.
Fun.
Did a little bit. Yeah, we had a good. My daughters and I, we had a great meal here at the house on Monday night and just kind of chilled out. We had. It was a bummer to a degree. We had, and I'm not big on us people that work in the sport talking about traveling nightmares, because anybody who travels has nightmares. We had a traveling nightmare on Sunday night. Didn't get home till 3 o'clock. I know, woe is me. I get paid to go to the races. I'm not whining about the traveling nightmare. It comes with the territory. But I'm telling you what, I was exhausted on my birthday. So rest was the biggest thing that I enjoyed. And I was a bit of a zombie around the house. But we did get to celebrate a little bit and had a good time. And it was great to kick off another trip around the sun as we get ready to get started to do on Tuesday morning.
Well, as always, you can keep up with the Postman and Wing Nation here on MRN.com. You can also see it this Saturday. It's every Saturday morning on MAV TV. Steve, who do we have as a guest this Saturday?
This Saturday on MAV TV, we're going very young. We've got a 16-year-old racer from California, Gio Selzy. He is the second son of NHRA drag racing champion Gary Selzy. So Gio Selzy is our guest Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time on MAV TV with Wing Nation.
Definitely want to check that out. Hey, appreciate you coming in talking about Kyle Larson today. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, boys.
There you go.
See you later.
Postman, I don't know what I just called Kyle Larson. Kind of all ran together. You know who has a great voice and can speak clearly? Joe Moore.
Let's take a break so we can get to Joe Moore.
That's right. He's up next here on MRN Crew Call.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
It's summertime, and that means three things: good times, great racing, and killer barbecue. Creekstone Farms produces the finest, juiciest, and most grill-worthy, all-natural Duroc pork in the country. So rev up your grill and try their mouth-watering pork at your next tailgate. Speed over to creekstonefarms.com now and use promo code MRNPORK to save 15% on all succulent Creekstone Farms all-natural Duroc pork products. That's promo code MRNPORK at creekstonefarms.com.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevate your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
Danica Patrick to the front of the field at Talladega. They are side by side behind her. Jimmy Johnson.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
Thank you for holding. Now back to MRN Crew Call with Tony and Kid.
Tony and Kid here on a hump day on MRN Crew Call. We don't want to waste any time for this next gentleman. He is the anchor of MRN's NASCAR coverage. He's also the host of Raceline, which you can also see on MAV TV and various other cable channels around the world. He is Joe Moore. Joe, how's the fishing down in the Keys today?
Well, I don't know because I can't go until I finish talking to you guys. You're holding me up. Check with me later.
We were hoping we get live play-by-play from the boat or something.
Unfortunately, the cell service is not too good out there.
There you go. Hey, we've asked everybody that's come on the program because it's so interesting to know, but how and when did you get your start with the Motor Racing Network?
Oh, boy. It goes back to like 77, 78, somewhere like that. It's been so long I forgot. But I was announcing for Langley Speedway in Hampton, Virginia, and the promoter at the track was apparently enthused with what I was doing or wanted to get rid of me, one or the other, and connected me with Mike Joy, who at the time was running Motor Racing Network. And so they scheduled an audition for me to go to Daytona and do the Goodies Dash series. I'd never been to Daytona. I'd never seen the Goodies Dash series. It's a total fish out of water. But apparently I did okay. Either that or they couldn't find anybody else because they called me back. And I worked part-time for a year or two And that's when TV came into the sport in a big way with ESPN and Ned Jarrett and Jerry Punch, who were regulars on Motor Racing Network, moved to TV. There was an opening, and so, boom, I was there. And that's when it all started. I guess I started full-time in '79.
Wow.
Do you have more time for fishing this week, or I guess on every week? Are you fishing more or are you working more? Because you got the MRN stuff, you're traveling down to the Keys. Logistically, it's probably more difficult to get around. And then you have the TV show. What's your week like, Joe, when you're away from the track?
Well, typically, living down here, I can't get home anymore on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
When I lived in Virginia, there was quite a few races that I could get back home, 9, 10, 11 o'clock on Sunday night. Now there's only one, and that's Homestead. All the rest, typically, I get here at about noon or so on Monday, and well worth it, may I add.
Of course.
But yeah, typically when I hit the ground, it's we go to work on race line. We work the rest of the day on Monday, all day Tuesday. Typically, we have that wrapped up by Wednesday morning. So I try to carve out Wednesday as my day to fish if the weather cooperates.
Oh, we're totally messing this up for him.
And and then
I don't feel bad.
and then Thursday it's outbound to the next track. So since we don't have a race this week, there's more time to fish, and I like that.
Hey, I know it's hard to probably narrow down a favorite call, but is there any race that comes to mind where you think about something you said on the air that's quite memorable to you?
I think my first Daytona 500 in the booth was the year that Dale Earnhardt lost his life at Daytona.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I said on that day, but I remember when we came back in July for the 4th of July race, and Junior won the race. And that was such an emotional moment, and I was trying to find a way to say that properly to show respect, but yet, try to point out, how special it was that Junior comes back and wins at the track where he lost his dad earlier the same year. And I think it was just something as simple as, Junior comes back to Daytona and wins.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like that said it all. I don't know how much more I could say, but, that felt pretty good.
Our producer here on Crew Call, Daryl Smith, found something a little bit on a lighter note. He dug through the archives, Joe, and found this gem.
Simple having a little bit more trouble with Junior in turn 3.
Trouble up at number 2. It is Ricky Rudd who goes around. Ricky Rudd spins as everyone else clears the car and hits the back straight away. And believe it or not, the caution is out again.
I believe it. Lap 348 and the yellow is out yet for
that was
the
not
14th
me.
time.
That was the Swedish chef.
That was interesting. Daryl, let's break that down again in slow motion again. Give that to us one more time, Daryl.
Simple having a little bit more trouble with Junior in turn 3.
Trouble up at number 2.
Hey, what happened?
I can't believe it. Lap 348 and the yellow is out yet for the 14th time.
What were you trying to say there, Joe?
I have no idea, but apparently it worked.
It's happened to all of us, hasn't it? It's interesting sometimes when your mind goes one direction and your mouth goes another.
And that was a classic example of that.
Good stuff. Hey, we have this fun little trivia game show we play. Want to put you on hold. Today's category is Stop Whining. Probably has something to do with Sonoma and wines. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, it'll be Joe Moore versus Kid Cruz here on MRN Crew Call.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Motor Racing Network has a way for you to reach out and express your thoughts and opinions on NASCAR. It's the MRN Fan Forum Hotline.
I was wondering, what's the first thing you tend to
I was curious about those new rules from what I heard.
Call in 844-4-ASK-MRN. Got a question or comment for a driver or MRN personality? 844-4-ASK-MRN.
You guys keep it on. Listen to you guys next
It's
weekend.
the Fan Forum Hotline, your connection to the sport of NASCAR.
I'm Steve Post.
And I'm Ashley Stremme.
Join us Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Eastern for MRN's Wing Nation on MAV TV.
The biggest and best names in wing sprint car racing join us for in-depth conversations, and we'll have the latest news from the dirt tracks across America.
Plus, we'll send our girl Lauren into the sprint car pits to give you a behind-the-scenes look at sprint car racing, and we'll have your Tweet Your Seat.
MRN's Wing Nation, Saturdays at 9:30 and 12:30 Eastern on MAV TV.
Time now for Motor Racing Network's #1 game show. The game where MRN talent prove their mettle against the unshakable Kid Cruz to see if they've truly earned the right to sit atop the pit box or if they're simply a tool. It's 5 on, 5 off on MRN Crew Call.
Welcome back to the program. Getting ready for a little 5 on 5 off. Joe Moore versus Kid Cruz.
Nervous.
Kid lost last week, so he's
Yeah.
going to try to get back on the board. But hey, MRN fans, you want to save 15% on Creekstone Farms succulent all-natural Duroc pork? Well, speed over to creekstonefarms.com now. Use the exclusive promo code MRNPORK, MRNPORK. Visit creekstonefarms.com today and rev up your grill. Boy, that sounds good.
we all win.
I'm starving. Yeah, we're all winners on that one. All right, it's time for 5 on 5 off. Today's category, Kid, is Stop Whining. Daryl Smith, give me 45 seconds on the clock. Actually, that'll be Robbie Mays putting
We
45
can't have
seconds
stuff
up
about
on the
beer.
clock.
It has to be wine.
It's going to be
I'm
wine.
gonna
Your
lose.
time starts
All right.
right now. How many fluid ounces in a standard wine bottle?
28.
What percentage of wines consumed in the U.S. are from California?
20%.
How many pounds of grapes does it take to make a bottle of wine?
Like the 750 milliliter bottle, or how many pounds of grapes?
How many pounds?
15.
What percentage of wine sold in stores is red wine?
Oh gosh, 55.
And how many gallons of wines are produced from 1 acre of grapevines?
How many bottles? Is that what
How
you said? How many cases?
gallons?
How many gallons?
From 1 acre of grapes.
150.
150.
No
All right,
clue.
there you go.
I have no idea.
Nobody ever has a clue in this. That's,
okay.
that's
Well,
the
then I'm
fun of
fine.
it.
Then I shouldn't feel
Let's
bad.
bring Joe back
Shouldn't
in.
be so nervous.
Joe, it's worthless trivia. You shouldn't know the answers to any of these questions. They're about wine today. Stop
He's a
whining.
wine guy, though.
He is
I
a
think.
wine
He's
guy,
a
so he
wine
might
guy.
do
I'm a
pretty
beer
well.
guy.
You got 45 seconds.
I like to drink it. I don't know much about it, though.
Well, we're going to find out. You got 45 seconds. Just get as close as you can. Again, there's no real winners, only losers here today. So here we go. 45 seconds on the clock. Your time starts right now. How many fluid ounces in a standard wine bottle?
I don't know, 20.
20. What percentage of wines consumed in the U.S. are from California?
70%.
How many pounds of grapes does it take to make a bottle of wine? How many pounds? 4. What percentage of wine sold in the U.S. is red wine?
70.
And how many gallons of wine are produced from 1 acre of grapes? How many gallons?
2 cases.
2 cases. How many gallons do you think that'd be?
These are things I've never heard of before.
Isn't it awesome? Throw me out a number, big number.
65.
65. All right, let's bring in Daryl Smith, see how we did here today. Daryl? It's
going to be a close one.
First question, how many fluid ounces in a standard wine bottle? Kid said.
28.
And Joe said.
20.
The correct answer?
25.
All right, Kid Cruz gets a point there. What percentage of wines consumed in the U.S. are from California? Kid said.
20%.
And Joe said.
70%.
The correct answer.
63%.
How about that, Joe Moore? You're on the board. It's 1-1. We got a battle here. How many pounds of grapes does it take to make a bottle of wine? Kid said.
15.
And Joe said.
4.
The correct answer.
2.5.
2.5. Joe Moore. He pulls out ahead. 2-1. Wow. Question 4. What percentage of wine sold in the U.S. is red wine? Kid said.
55.
And Joe said.
70.
And the correct answer.
42%.
42, Kid Cruz. We have a tie ball game. It's coming down to this last question. Are you nervous, kid?
Yeah, I want to win.
All
and
right.
Joe wants to go fishing.
Here we need to, he just wants to go. All right. How many gallons of wines are produced from 1 acre of grapevines? Kid said
150.
Joe said
65.
And the correct answer is
800.
800.
Wow,
Kid
800.
Cruz comes
Good
in right
Lord.
at the end. He gets the win. Backstreet's back on top.
All
Joe
right.
gets to go fishing. Everybody's a winner here today. Joe, we're going to miss not hearing you this weekend, but I bet we can catch you on Raceline. Where all can we see that?
Well, I don't think we have time to list all the stations. We're on 42 regional sports networks, including MAV, and 120 broadcast stations. So check your local listings, as they say.
As always, be a lot of fun. Hey, I appreciate the time. Go catch a big one, all right?
All right, man. We're going to try.
There he is, Joe Moore
All
on the
right.
program.
Fun.
Kid Cruz gets back in the winner's circle.
Yes, and we're back here on set. Feels good. I
Do you
like
want to
it.
thank the guys back at the shop or anything? You got anything?
No, it was
you
all
want?
me. It was all me. Why don't they ever say that in Victory Lane? You know, it was all me.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, thanks again to Steve Post for coming on, talking a little Kyle Larson. That was fun. We kept Joe from fishing, so we feel kind of bad about that, but, you know.
I don't feel bad about it.
I think
the
you'll get
dude
out
lives in
there.
the Keys.
Yeah, it's hard.
He's fine. It's hard to feel bad about that.
It's hard to feel bad about that. Don't forget, we got that great offer still going on, only through June, with the folks at Creekstone Farms. MRN pork, you save 15%. Right? Everybody's a winner. What do you got planned for this weekend? You got anything
this
big?
weekend?
We have go-karts later here today at MRN. That'll be
Yeah,
fun.
I'm going to go run some go-karts, and maybe I'll pick up a sponsorship after a victory today, and then I can go race at Summer Shootout at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
You're not going to pick up any sponsorship, but you may pick up some sponsored product, I'm guessing.
All right.
After how it goes. What's your team name, by the way?
I don't know.
Oh.
I can't tell you
You
because I don't know.
You're just a show up and drive kind of guy, kind of like Kyle Larson.
Absolutely.
Show up and drive whatever. Hey, as always, we appreciate you tuning in here to MRN Crew Call. Don't forget, you can catch the show as always on MRN.com in the on-demand section, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get podcasts. That's where it is. For Kid Cruz, I'm Tony Rizzuti. Have a great rest of your week, and thanks for being here for MRN Crew Call.
You've been listening to MRN Crew Call, presented by Hercules Tires. Stream us every Wednesday at noon on MRN.com or on the MRN app. MRN Crew Call is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, or download it through iTunes or Google Play. MRN Crew Call is a production of the Motor Racing Network. Goodbye.